Hi, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, audience. My name is Veronica with Union Bank, and to my left and right, I have Maxi Castro and Gloria Cardenas. What we're going to do for you today is actually have a very candid about some frequently asked questions, some weird terms, all kinds of things that you may want to know about in buying a home. Necessarily have to be a first-time home buyer. You can be an investor, you can be an upgrade buyer, but really what we want to do is we just want to educate you on some things that we think are very important. Again, Veronica Dela Cruz, and and just to tell you myself for about 20 years. And personal about me is that I love AKA billiards. Maxi, why don't you tell us something about yourself and how long you've been in the business?
Hi everybody, my name is Maxi Castro and I've been in the mortgage industry for about 9 years. And usually what I like to do in my spare time is just play tennis. Right now I'm still going to school, trying to get that degree, get that big bucks. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I'll pass it on to Laura.
Awesome. Gloria.
I'm Gloria Cardenas, and I've been in the business over 4 years. I love educating and helping our younger community learn about first-time home buying. And I know, especially our Latino culture, sometimes does not have all the information. So I love being able to provide them those tips and help and guidance so they could be home buyers too.
Awesome. Welcome, Gloria and Maxi. One other thing before we get started, audience. First of all, apologies at the beginning. We are at the 8th annual VCCDC Housing Fair. It's going to be a little weird this time because we're doing it virtually, so hopefully we can make it really fun and exciting for you. And the other thing that I wanted to say is welcome to my team. And we're just going to go right into it and talk about some of the things that are frequently asked questions that we have. So, Maxi, can you tell us maybe something that a first-time buyer asked that?
Yeah, customers come up to me and say, hey, steps that I need to take. So that's one of the questions that they have because a lot of the times they're lost. Like they don't know where to go, where to start. And so they want to come to somebody that has done this before to guide them. And,
awesome. How about you, Gloria?
Well, one thing that I do advise us is when they do come into our offices and talk to any loan officer, that's the very first thing they should be doing, and they're taking the right step. Because getting qualified then will help them understand the whole process. Because we will sit down, listen to our clients, find out what their needs are, what their goals are. If they don't qualify, get them to have a plan so they could qualify in the next few months. And then at this time also the process that will help us is that we can give them the how much they qualify, and then the next step would be going to look for a home. Besides that, we're also here during this whole transition to be able to tell them what escrow is, what points are, what other programs and what's available, which I know there's some more questions that we're going to be answering.
So Gloria and Maxi bring up a very good point. As a first-time home buyer, or as any buyer for that matter, your first step should actually be to talk to the bank or to talk to a loan officer. As both of them have stated, the reason that you really want to do is that when you talk to a professional about purchasing a home, they're going to put you on the right path. You may not be ready today. You may not be ready tomorrow. You may be ready 6 months or a month from now. We absolutely have no idea. Another important factor that I really want my audience to listen to is that you could qualify for a $750,000 home, right, Maxi?
Correct.
But what comes with a $750,000 home?
At a large mortgage of over $4,000.
A $750,000 payment. So we want to make sure that when we're educating our clients, you may love that property, but it may not be something that you're comfortable with. When you talk to a loan officer, you always want to make sure that you're reaching your comfort level of your payment. That's exactly what you want to do. So Maxi, another question for you. You mentioned that your first-time homebuyers have questions about what is the process and how do I get started? What about when first-time homebuyers ask you questions about money? When they say, I don't have a down payment, or I have money that's at home.
So a lot of the times I do get that question, and a lot of the times the main question that they ask is there help? Is there assistance? Is there a grant or help me put more money as my down payment? And usually what I tell them is, yeah, there's a lot of help. There's a lot of programs that we could probably qualify you for. So the first thing that we usually suggest is for them to come in, make an appointment, sit down with us, whether it's Gloria, myself, or somebody local, to get pre-qualified how much purchasing power they have, to see how much money they are able to afford as far as for the purchase price of the house.
So another question, Max, just I called you Max. You just said pre-qualification. So if I'm walking in, I have no idea what that means. Gloria, what does that mean, pre-qualification? What does getting approved mean? Can you enlighten us with that?
When you pre-qualify, you have an understanding of how much you're able to go and look for. So you might want a home that is $700,000, but based on your income and your debt, you qualify for a home that's $500,000. So that is getting pre-qualified. Now, how much you're able to afford, and how much you need to own. Do you have to put 3% down, 3.5% down, 5% down? Those are the questions. What kind of program are you going to be put in? A conventional, an FHA? Is there down payment assistance? Can I get gift funds from my parents?
Audience, my brain is already going crazy with everything that Gloria just said. So she talked about 3% down. She talked about 3.5% down. Gift funds. I mean, what are all of these things, right? So Maxie, what's the difference between a 3% down and a 3.5% down? And what is a gift? What is a gift fund? What does that mean?
So usually 3.5 is the FHA program. That's the amount that you need to come in with for the down payment. The 3% would be a conventional program. That's how much money you would have to put in. The gift that she's referring to is, let's say my parents want to give me money, and the parents usually, what they do is they gift you the money. They do a letter saying this money is for my son to buy a house, and we could use funds in order to put that down for your down payment.
Maxie, does the gift have to be from my parents?
No, it could be from anybody. It could be from my tío. It could be from your aunt, from my brother, my sister. It could even be from Veronica. But yeah, it
Not
could be
really.
from
It really can.
I'm kidding. But no, it would be a relative.
Awesome. So we're talking about all of this lingo and what happens when you buy a house. And when we were working on this earlier, we all realized that that is used so often in this business, and that word is escrow. So what does it mean when I'm in escrow? What does it mean when I have an escrow account? What is an escrow company? That word is very confusing to a buyer. So I'm in escrow, I have an escrow account, and I went to the escrow company. So Gloria, can you enlighten us a little bit on what that one word and how many different ways that
There is. When you're in escrow means that you already signed a contract and you're in the process of purchasing the house. So you're in escrow. Then there is a company, which is your title, and then you have an escrow company, which is the company that holds the funds. It's kind of like a mediator between the banks, the seller, the owners. They're the ones that do the paperwork behind the scenes. That's your second escrow company. Your third, you have escrow accounts, which are impounds. You're paying taxes and insurance in advance. So you have money that they are holding to pay your taxes and insurance for once a year or twice a year. So those are the three different escrows.
Oh, team, I'm actually getting the call in right now, and the question is this. So they heard Gloria talking about escrow in advance, your taxes and your insurance. Can you all tell me what are the line item things that you actually pay for monthly on your mortgage payment?
It would be your principal and interest, which is
Principal and interest.
your mortgage payment and the interest. Then the second would be your hazard, which
Hazard
is
insurance,
insurance. Then it would tax your property tax.
property taxes.
And depending on if you put 3% or whatever percentage, there's some instances where you would need to pay mortgage insurance.
Mortgage insurance. So what does that mean, Gloria?
That's your PMI or MI, which is the mortgage insurance. That is based on your credit score. So the better credit score you have, the lower your PMI is going to be. So our goal is to make sure we increase our credit score so you could pay a lower payment.
Nice. So then for mortgage insurance, I just want to piggyback off of what Gloria said, is anytime you are purchasing a home and you're putting less than 20% down, 20%, normally you have to pay what is called mortgage insurance. What is mortgage insurance, you ask? It's actually an insurance that insures the bank that lends you the money. Why do you have to pay it, you ask? You have to pay it because you don't have that 20% equity yet. But when you do get that 20% equity, what happens?
We want to remove it.
Yes.
Why do
and
we
what
want to
happens
remove
to
it?
your payment?
You get a lower payment.
You get a quick question. If you have mortgage insurance, do you have to refinance to take it off?
No.
Or does
Not
it just
always.
come off?
Not always.
Not always. With an FHA, you do. You're going to have to refinance.
Whole nother ball of wax that we would have to do another class on because FHA is a little
Correct.
crazy when it comes
But
to mortgage
conventional, you don't. But at that time, it's also a perfect time to see, is there a lower interest rate?
Yeah.
Because if there is and we can decrease your payment because of the lower interest rate, and we can decrease your payment due to removing the PMI, guess what? Your payment just went down a lot.
even more, right? So we don't want to push people to refinance, and we don't really want to push them to anything. Our main goal is to educate our clients as always. But because Gloria and Maxie are bringing up mortgage insurance and equity in a property, I think it brings up another point that we should discuss. And that's when you first buy a house and you buy this little baby small house. In a few years, you decide that you want a bigger house, or maybe your family grows, or maybe you moved from California to another state. What are some options that people have other than selling their existing property?
Well, if you could sell it, number one, and use that equity to buy a bigger home. Number two, keep it as a rental. Maybe a family member or somebody that you know is starting off and they need to buy they could rent it out. So you get credit. So you get credit for rental. So at that point, you're able to upgrade to a bigger home. Do you 20% down for that? No. You could buy another home with maybe percent down. And that's something that a lot of customers think. I'm buying a second home. I need 20%. That is not always true. The best thing to do is talk to a financial consultant, because we will give you the guidance that you need. We do interview you because we want to be able to answer all the questions and educate you so you have the knowledge.
Yeah,
Very
so
good.
you're able to make the right choice.
So to recap on what Gloria said, if you start out with what we like to call a starter home, and in the future you decide that you want to become an investor and you want to keep that property and you want to make sure that you get residual income, if that's the case with that particular loan, you can actually keep your property, talk to a loan officer, and see about purchasing if your family grew or if you moved. There's so many different avenues, and every single person's situation is 1,000% unique and different. So do we have any other questions, or is there anything you think that we should touch on even more with our candid conversation with our audience?
Well, I think it's important for us to be available and educate the clients, the customers that come in, just because sometimes you don't know if they're ready at that specific point in time, or if they're going to buy later on, 6 months, a year. You always want to be available because you never know when they're ready. And you always want to be as friendly, courteous as possible too, because you want them to remember you. You want them to come back.
The other thing that I think is really important, the way of purchasing a home now is different than purchasing a home 20 years ago. So what sometimes your parents or grandparents or somebody else knew about purchasing a home has changed. So the best thing to do is talk to someone with the experience and the knowledge and be able to give you the right guidance.
Wonderful. Maxie and Gloria, you were spectacular. I really want to take a moment to recap of what we talked about here, audience. So we talked about your comfort zone, your comfort level payment. We talked about some down payment assistance, right? And that's something that you really want to talk to your homeowner. It doesn't have to be integral. That's going to your speed, educate you on everything that you need to be, just like this person that's calling me right now. What we want to also talk about is we talked about that fun word escrow, where there's an escrow, and escrow. So we want to remember, if you have questions at all, always 100,000% call your loan officer, text your loan officer, Zoom your loan officer, whatever is easier for you, because their jobs, whether they work at Union Bank or any other institution, is to ensure that you get all of the information necessary to make an educated decision, because it's your decision as what you want to do. And if we don't have anything else, I think our candid conversation was pretty great, guys. Yeah.
Call us if you have any questions.
Yeah.
One more thing. Hablo español.
Hablamos español.
Yo también hablo español.
Gracias.
Adiós.
Hasta luego.
Bye.